There are certain moments in life that feel like time has stopped. Moments when the sounds around you slowly fade away, when the beating of your own heart feels louder than anything else in the room, when the words that have been held back finally find their way out. And on that day, without anyone expecting it, two names that had long been rumored to have extraordinary chemistry finally gave the world something we never truly dared to hope for: a sincere, honest, and utterly shattering confession of love from Hou Minghao and Lu Yuxiao. Amidst their busy schedules and the relentless pressure of the media following them, they sat side by side in a simple studio. At first, everything seemed normal. The interview began with small laughs, light conversation, and the usual jokes we hear. But there was something in their eyes that day, something a little different, something that felt deeper, heavier, as if the two of them were holding back a secret that was ready to explode at any moment. Hou Minghao, who had always been known for being cheerful, lively, and full of pleasant energy, was seen taking several deep breaths. His hands even trembled slightly as he ran his fingers through his hair, as if preparing himself to say something much bigger than just the usual interview answers. Meanwhile, Lu Yuxiao, with her soft aura and soothing, moonlit gaze, sat with her hands clasped in her lap, as if to steady herself. She didn't say much at first, only smiling slightly, and it was that smile that made the moment feel even more tense. And then, without any sign, without a script, without warning, the words came out. Soft, slow, but very clear. Hou Minghao looked down for a moment, then lifted his face and said, "I don't know how to hide it anymore. I, like Lu Yuxiao, I have for a long time." There was a long pause, a pause that felt like the whole world was holding its breath. Lu Yuxiao stared at him with wide eyes, like someone who had just heard a long-awaited sentence, but was still unprepared when it finally arrived. Her cheeks flushed so quickly, and she bit her lower lip, a small reaction that made the moment even more emotional. She looked like someone who wanted to speak, but her words were held back by emotion. When she finally found her voice, the soft tone that came out sounded so fragile, yet so honest. "If you're being honest, I have to be honest too. I like you too." Those two confessions shook not only the small room where they sat, but also the hearts of all the fans watching. There was no dramatic music, no spotlight that suddenly changed color. There were only two people who had been harboring the same feelings, finally stopping hiding. Everyone in the studio gasped. The crew holding the camera paused their movements. The interviewer widened his eyes. Even the small sounds from the electronic devices seemed to disappear. All that remained were two pairs of eyes that met, searched for each other, and understood each other without a single word. Behind all the hustle and bustle of the entertainment world, behind the pressure, rumors, and relentless spotlight, there was a love that grew slowly, a love they never promoted, never acknowledged, but was always there in small gestures and hidden glances. No one was truly surprised, not in the sense that they had already guessed, but more because the signs had actually been there for a long time, only we didn't dare to consider them real. The way they smiled at each other, the way Minghao looked at Yuxiao as if the whole world had disappeared, the way Yuxiao looked a little nervous every time their hands almost touched. Fans who paid attention to their interactions at various events knew that there was something special between the two of them. But no one expected that the day of confession would come this soon, or this beautifully. As the interview continued, Lu Yuxiao's face was still red. He tried to chuckle, but his laughter broke off midway. His eyes were teary, not because he was sad, but because he was relieved. Relieved that the burden he had been carrying in his heart, the burden of love that had quietly grown and filled every corner of it, had finally found a place to escape. She admitted that all this time, she had been afraid. Afraid of ruining their good relationship, afraid that her feelings would not be reciprocated, afraid that the love she felt would only create distance. On the other hand, Minghao admitted that he had wanted to tell her the truth many times, but always backed down at the last second. He was afraid of making Yuxiao uncomfortable, afraid of making their professional relationship awkward, and afraid of hurting the feelings of the person he valued most. Their fears were the same. Their feelings were the same. And that day, their words were equally honest, equally open, equally brave. Seeing them stare at each other after confessing made many fans cry. There was a beautiful silence when their eyes met, a silence that needed no words to explain. They didn't immediately hold hands, didn't immediately hug, but the small distance between them felt far more meaningful. There was a silent conversation in that gaze, a conversation understood only by two hearts that had chosen to love in silence all this time. When the confession video clip finally spread to social media, the world seemed to collapse together. Their names immediately trended globally. Thousands of comments poured in within minutes, filled with happiness, screams, tears, and disbelief. Some wrote that this was the sweetest moment of the year. Some said they had been waiting for this moment for a long time, and some simply wrote, "I'm crying," over and over again. But from all these reactions, one thing was certain. What Hou Minghao and Lu Yuxiao did was pure. It wasn't made up. It wasn't a promotional gimmick. It wasn't fan service. It was real love, love that grew behind the scenes, love that slowly formed itself until it became something too big to hide. When the interview session finally ended, the interviewer asked Minghao what he hoped for after the confession. He smiled, a sincere smile full of calmness. "I just want her to know that my love is real," he said. Meanwhile, Yuxiao, her voice still slightly trembling, added, "This isn't the end. This is just the beginning." And it was that sentence that made the whole world melt. Their confession was not just a statement. It was courage. A big step that can only be taken when love becomes stronger than fear. They taught us that sometimes, in order for something beautiful to truly begin, one must have the courage to be honest. They reminded us that love doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be flaunted. What matters is the honesty and courage to express it. Their love was not explosive. It was not announced in a glamorous way. It was a cool, gentle, slow, but very deep love. A love that grew from friendship, from mutual respect, from years of trust. A love that found its own way, without being forced, without being directed. They just let it grow. And in the end, they chose to be honest. They chose each other. That day became the day when love no longer hid behind laughter, no longer slipped behind glances, no longer masked by professionalism. That day, love spoke with its own words. Now the world not only admires them as talented actors, but also as two hearts that found each other. Two souls who chose to speak the truth, even as the world watched. Two people who finally stopped holding back and let love take its rightful place. And for all of us who witnessed it, this is not just a celebrity story. It is a reminder that love, when finally spoken, has the power to change everything. That one simple sentence can bring immeasurable relief. That honest words can become a bridge between two hearts that have been waiting for a long time. Their love is no longer a secret. Their love is now a story. A story that will be remembered by anyone who believes that true love, even if it comes late, always arrives at the right time. And perhaps, just perhaps, we are all witnessing the beginning of something far more beautiful than we could ever imagine.